I mean, the front court is the front court's always strength for you guys, but just given South Carolina's kind of rebounding difficulties as of late, just how much do you see that as a potential advantage going into this game?
I think for us to be our best, we need those guys to generally outplay our opponent. So, we need it to show up again tomorrow night, both with interior scoring and rebounding. I think we got to do a good job in both those areas.
You were pretty confident the other night that if this was a blueprint to beating you guys, that bring it, like, you like your challenge every week. Why? Why do you think that this is not the blueprint to beat you, to pack it in? And
Well, I think the issue, we had a number of issues, but the main issue on Saturday for us, we just got outplayed from an effort and a physicality standpoint in the first half. And as I said after the game, credit Auburn. I thought they did a really good job bothering us, but I think that was more the issue than necessarily any schematics. I thought we kind of got back on our feet in the second half. The biggest thing we can point to is the rebounding advantage by half. I mean, they beat us by 6 in the first half. That doesn't generally happen to us. We beat them by 13 in the second half. That second half looked a little more like, what we had been used to seeing. And I think I obviously did a poor job. I think as a program, we weren't mentally and physically at the level we needed to compete, to beat a very good Auburn team in the first half. I thought we got there the second half, too little too late, not okay. But I still think it was, they did a very good job schematically. I'm not saying that wasn't part of the issue, but regardless of that, I thought, for us, it's more about just making sure we're mentally and physically ready to compete from the jump. And if we are that way and we start getting beat, then we'll have to reconsider that.
What's been the response from the players who are struggling shooting? Like in terms of like hours put in and just extra stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we have really hard workers in our program. So, for me, it's not, it's not an issue of not, putting in the time or not trying to refine their skills and do those things. I think it's a little more mental than that. And so, I think they've responded the right way. We've been a mentally tough team all year. We've had some ups and downs, and we've been questioned quite a bit. And, we've been able to push through and play some good basketball for a majority of the season. Obviously, we did not do that for the first 20 minutes on Saturday. But the shooting, it's been an issue all year for us. We talk about it a lot more after we lose, obviously. We didn't shoot well against LSU, right? I mean, we made 9 threes, but we were 14 for 27 from the foul line. We didn't finish from 2 very well, and we were still able to win because we were tough. And we were not that way, again, for the first 20 minutes. But I think our guys are putting in the time and energy required to shoot the ball well. We just got to do a better job of doing it in games.
What is the mental, how do you approach that? I mean, are you leaving no stone unturned? I mean, I'm sure you're not doing hypnosis yet, but what do you?
I'm not qualified.
No, but bringing someone in, I'm joking. But I'm kidding. I'm not trying to make light of it either. I know it's probably a very bothersome issue for you, but how are you kind of trying to get these guys mentally right, so to speak?
Again, I think the best thing you can do as a coach is, have them feel like you believe in them, from a perspective of shooting, but from a winning and losing perspective, that's why we try to focus on the things that don't require talent and try to give ourselves enough runway where if we don't shoot the ball well, that we can still win. And I think that's probably a little bit of the trap we fell into. After going on that 5-game winning streak, we were playing very well, and there were some games where we didn't shoot well. We were still winning by double digits, and not focusing enough on those things going into the Auburn game probably let us down a little bit.
how do you make sure their effort is there pregame?
Again, all you can do is be consistent. That's how I think about it, and we're really consistent in our approach. I think we don't necessarily change that up, per opponent. So we as a staff try to make sure we do everything we can to ramp our guys up. For a majority of these opportunities, our guys are ready to go and they compete the right way. And again, like, I think the one thing you got to credit Auburn, like they're a competitive team. Like they're coming out there to try to win the game. They have pride. They want to compete. they've had some tough losses, some close games, whether it was, Houston by a point or the A&M game, the way they lost that game. And they've been on the wrong side of some, really close contests. And, again, I just think their physicality and their approach, they were playing with with no fear of failure in the first half, nothing to lose. I felt like we kind of were playing like we had something to lose and a little fear of failure in the first half. And they stunned us. I thought we got back on our feet a little bit in the middle of the half, and then they stunned us again. We couldn't get right until halftime. And then we did, but it was too little too late. So we're not going to change up too much in what we do. We just can't let it happen again. And if it happens again, then I think it'll be something that we have to kind of pinpoint and try to address if there's one specific thing that we can do different.
To follow up on the shooting, teams had to defend Condon when he was beyond the three-point line for much of the season. There were times Saturday where Auburn wasn't even closing out on him. If he can hit a little bit of a higher rate on those pick and pop ones especially, what can that open up for you guys just offensively in the half court?
Well, I mean, if he got back comfortable to shooting, 33% on those, I think it would, change a lot for us. So, we'll see how that goes. And again, I think the one thing where I could have done a better job, we didn't adjust well enough to taking advantage of not being guarded in the middle of the floor. You got to play tighter to the rim, got to set ball screens lower. You got to, try to make a team pay, for giving you that space, having a free screener. There's a lot of different things you can do that, I just didn't adjust well enough on the fly. We kind of got it right at halftime to where we started, playing with a little more purpose offensively. But, that's an area where I can get better, and we got to make sure that we're ready to go. South Carolina tries to guard us that way.
He looked hesitant on some of those, like they're giving it to him, right? He wants to take it, but then he doesn't want to miss.
Yeah.
Did you sense some of that? Did you see
I think,
some of that?
yeah,
on
I mean,
tape?
but
Yeah.
that's just, that's pretty much human nature, like he's a thoughtful guy, man. He's a player. He's a very good player, and when somebody's not guarding you, I think it can kind of mess with you a little bit. And again, where I need to do a better job is giving him the right plan when that happens. And again, I thought we did a better job in the second half, but I got to figure that out sooner. And I could be wrong. I don't think that's a good formula for guarding a really good player after you have a little bit of time to prepare for it. I think we'd be able to take advantage of that if somebody tries to guard us like that, but we got to go do it.
What's more of your just overall assessment of South Carolina? They've kind of struggled in SEC play.
Yeah, but you know what? They're dangerous is the way I think about them. You look at the first half they played at LSU. They were up 43-15 to start the game. They have multiple guys that can really shoot it. They have a shooting five-man, which has been an issue for us in the past. They have Michi Johnson, who's turned into one of the better scoring guards in the league. He has great physicality, gets to the line a lot. Miles Stute's been on a lot of winning teams. Knox has been on winning teams. Mike, played at San Francisco for, Chris Gerlison, who I coached with. So, they have some really good, talented players. I'd say their bench might not be, what you want in terms of great depth and guys coming in from the bench. They're a little young off their bench, but they have 5 really good players in the starting lineup. And we got to do a really good job of making sure we guard the three-point line and defend without fouling.
Do you mention last year's game? I know you guys kind of had to escape out of there.
That's every game on the road, man. To be honest, we're every game going on the road. You can't expect to just go in there and win a game. We have to have the same mentality we did, our last 2 road games. Obviously, going on the road to Oklahoma, I thought we played great in the first half. We were ready to compete, and we played 40 really good minutes against Vanderbilt on the road as well.
After 20 games, how do you think this team has performed to your expectation?
To my expectation or
Yeah.
to your expectation?
No,
or
no,
to his expectation?
I mean, expectations early on are probably
I think
not fully
we just had a
understood.
wide range of, obviously we were preseason top 5, but we were also,
Yeah, exactly.
are we going to be able to replace the guards? I think this team's in a good spot. There's obviously a game or 2 we wish we would have won. We've proven over the last 3 or 4 weeks that we can win a lot of games against really good teams, winning 5 straight quad 1 games in a row. I think this team still has a higher ceiling than we've shown, and we got to make sure we continue to have a high floor, which we have done. And, I think this team's still capable of everything that, we wanted to do at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I don't know about my expectations. I don't know what they were.
You
I
don't
voted
remember?
you. I voted you high.
Hey, Coach.
Speaking of, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Speaking of Michi Johnson, he's been averaging 23 points the past 4 games. What's your approach of controlling him tomorrow?
I think, he's a guy that can get you a couple different ways. He's been very good from the three-point line, and he's done a great job drawing fouls and living at the foul line. And you got to do a good job limiting those opportunities. You know, using Keyshawn Hall as an example, like, they're different players, but similar in the sense of they're good from three. They get to the line a lot. We did not do a good job on Keyshawn in the first half, you know, taking away any of that in the second half. Obviously, we did a much better job. We went from giving up 23 in the first to 1 in the second. Michi's a similar cover. We got to do a great job limiting his good three-point attempts. I think we got to do a great job, you know, staying on his right hand, making him finish over size, defending without fouling. And, you know, we got to do a good job making sure he doesn't create too many opportunities for his teammates as well.
Xavier's inconsistency, what's your conversation with him, like after a game like that, and just to kind of get him to move forward past it?
Yeah, I mean, we can't hang on to it for too long. You know, he didn't play well enough on Saturday. My main thing was the turnovers. You know, we had some loud turnovers in that game. And, you know, I'm asking a lot of him. You know, I'm basically asking him to play two different roles depending on who's next to him in the backcourt. And so, you know, when he's in there with the starting group, we need him to be a little more aggressive trying to score, you know, being a good connector that way. You know, when Irby's next to him, he can obviously be on the ball more, be more aggressive, trying to play the ball screens and play with the ball in his hands. But, you know, just more consistency that way and kind of understanding what the expectation is depending on who his teammates are that are out on the floor with him.
After the game on Saturday, Steve Pearl said something along the lines that the atmosphere was one of the loudest times that he's heard in the O-Dome while he was at Auburn. And then also, I'm sure you've seen videos and you've seen the students, you know, wrapped around the arena. To see that support you guys have, I know it's easy for a coach to be and say and have the cliche of, like, you know, we're on the home court, we have a great support from our fans, but to have that be recognized by other coaches, even John Summerall talked about it. You know, what does that say about the dedication of the fans?
I mean, we have incredible fan support. I think it's a healthy marriage that way because we've been very successful at home also. So we've given them a reason to come out and support us. And to their credit, you know, as soon as we showed a little promise in our time here, they got behind us and have given us great home crowds. And I think it's something that we're very appreciative and mindful of, and it's given us a great lift at home. And as I said before, like, we've given them a reason to come out. So it's there's a reason why we're 38-3 in our last 41 games here. And, you know, the crowd and the support have been a big part of that.
Steve made it seem like it might be a few days after Saturday for the next time you guys would talk. Have you guys talked since?
We have talked since. We have.
Obviously, you know, Elijah Martin named to the Rising Stars game. What does that mean for him? And what have you seen out of his NBA journey so far?
I'm not surprised. You know, he's a guy that he's very confident, and he always backs up how he feels. And what I mean, like, he's never scared on the floor. There's a great clip of him from a couple weeks ago when he got his first or second rip in an NBA game, kind of talking to Tyrese Maxey as they finish the game. Like, he's just out there, and he knows he's going to be a great competitor, and he's not going to be afraid, you know, regardless of who he's up against. So the fact that in a short period of time, you know, he's put himself in position to play in that game, it's just not that surprising. Like, he's a guy that you generally want to bet on, and you'll live with the results if you get it wrong. But, you know, he was a great competitor for us last year, and I think that's a big part of who he is.